Spring high school sports are just about to start, and many athletes are trying to improve their game. But conditioning on the field and in the weight room can only go so far. A lot of an athlete's success comes from a strong mental game, so today we're leaning on an expert to help with that. Lorrine Headrick is an elite athlete mental performance coach, and today she's here to share a few tools to strengthen any athlete's mental game. Lorrine, it's great to meet you.
Happy to be here.
I find your story fascinating as well. For 20 years, you helped athletes with the physical side of it, right? The nutrition and the conditioning. You recently took a shift to the mental game, as we're calling it. Why did you make that move?
Actually, a big pivotal part was when I injured myself. I used to be a college athlete too, and I got stuck in this athlete mindset that became my whole identity, even as a mother with 4 daughters and a wife. And I had an injury, and that was the point where I realized I couldn't run anymore. That used to be my sport. And I didn't know who I was without the role and identity of athlete. And so that was really shocking, and that was kind of that pivotal moment where I thought, who else is going through this? If I've been holding on to this for so many years, who else is struggling that I can help?
When we do see a lot of coaches and athletic trainers now putting more attention and effort to the mind game, to the mental side of athletics, why do you think we're making that shift as kind of an athletic society?
Because I think the world is actually becoming more open to talking about mental health. I know when I grew up, it wasn't something that we talked about in the house, and seeing a therapist had the stigma to it. And today, it's becoming more normal to talk about mindset and helping people with mental health. It doesn't mean you're weak, which sometimes in the culture of the athlete world, it's if you start to show emotions, you're weak. But coaches are starting to see that processing their emotions can actually help them in their performance.
I was going to say, on a tactical side, the physical mental connection, it's significant, right?
It is. It's huge.
Yeah, and you told me during the commercial break even that you felt that you couldn't help people physically unless they had the foundational tools mentally. There's a component to success even that ties into the brain.
Yeah, because if they don't fully believe it, if they feel like, hey, I'm going to take these practices, I'm going to take action, but I'm a person who always fails, so I'm just waiting for that moment to happen, then they're stuck in these beliefs that they think are just truth. And it's breaking down and poking holes in those beliefs that aren't serving them anymore.
You've got some specific tools that you teach athletes that could help maybe parents in their parent coaching game as well. And the first is to focus on awareness.
Yeah, because we have like 60,000 thoughts a day that just are going through our brains, and often we don't realize and we're not able to manage them because they're just happening. And when we repeat a belief over and over so many times, we start to just believe it's true just because it's been said in our brains. And so when we're aware, we can step back and start observing what happens for us and decide, do I want to stay here or do I want to leave?
So what are some specific things we can help our athletes to focus on, or any practices or exercises that will help them improve that awareness you described?
So once they're able to recognize and be like, oh, here's this belief I'm having, is this true? They can ask themselves that question, is this true? Even simply stopping and pausing to say, do I want to believe this, or is it a fact? And then simply writing it down can be clarifying for your brain. Even taking the moment to write one sentence, one thought that you have, is getting your brain to focus on one thing at a time instead of thinking of everything and creating overwhelm. So simple things like asking, is it true, writing it down, taking away any distractions. Maybe it's Netflix, you're scrolling. It gives you time to ask yourself, do I want to be here, or is there another belief that's going to serve me better?
I almost think of that scene from Harry Potter where they put the wand to their head and they draw out the thought. That's kind of what I was thinking of as you were talking. Like, the thought becomes separate from your mind, from your experience, and you're analyzing it. You say you also want your athletes to give their thoughts airtime. What does that mean?
So that's the same thing. It's like doing that Harry Potter, pull it out, put it on a piece of paper, ask yourself, like, hey, do I want to stay here? Give it space and without judgment. Just be curious with what's coming up for you and give it airtime. Just give it space so that you can not feel like you're rushed. We live in this world where everything's like back to back, especially student athletes. They've got schooling, they've got relationships, they've got, expectations to be grand in their sport. Giving it airtime gives them a moment to pause and reflect.
So is this something we're encouraging them to do before a game, during a game, after a game? When does this actually happen? So
it is more beneficial before a game so that they can prep themselves. Usually when I'm coaching athletes, we're talking about something maybe that happened in practice or during a game, an era. And so what we do is we go through and talk about what beliefs serving them or not, and create new ones so that they can practice it and do the mental reps like they do physical reps, and train their brains so that in that moment in the game, they're prepared.
I know you believe that parents can make a big difference in this process as well. And there are also some things that you encourage parents to stop doing. Let's punch through a few of these ideas. Stop talking bad about the coaches, Mom and Dad.
Okay, so I'm a parent of athletes too, and I know how it feels. Maybe there are times when we disagree with the coaches, and it's not coming from this place of, I just know everything. Maybe it is for some, but I think overall parents want the best for their athletes. But sometimes when they're talking negatively about the coaches, that can be passed on to the athletes and their experience with their coach, where beforehand they may not have even felt that way.
Stop coaching from the bleachers and stop trying to fix it on the drive home. What should we be doing instead on that drive home? Let's say the game didn't go well, the performance wasn't what they wanted it to be. What should we be doing in that awkward space?
Yeah, because athletes, they're very aware of what's going on, and they're probably sitting in the car on the drive home repeating all the things that they did wrong. And so for parents to be like, oh, this is what I think you should have done. Oh, this is a great idea for next time. That's not really the time that they need because they're processing it themselves. So just being a place of safety and love, and maybe saying, hey, where do you want to go eat? Or what should we do later on? That maybe has nothing to do with the sport at that time. They say give athletes 24 hours to contact the coach after because of that emotional high, right? So apply that with parents maybe. Give yourself even the ride home to start off with and work it and increase
24 hours.
Yeah, that's really common. Say, okay, if you want to talk to the coach, wait 24 hours. So parents can apply that.
You say things parents can do. Make that love unconditional. Make it known. Listen. Be a good listener. And perhaps consider hiring a mental performance coach. In what case is that helpful?
I think being in this world, I'm grateful for all the help that I've had and I've learned as tools, so I think it's helpful in any case.
Sure.
I've had a parent reach out to me and they labeled it for their children mental performance coach, but honestly, they're like, the truth is, we would really just want them to learn these life tools, and sometimes for athletes, they're like, is something wrong with me because I have to do that? But I think athletes have to also realize that pros and professionals have these mental performance coaches. So we're here to support them. I'm here to support athletes not only in their performance to become great, but more importantly in life, to be great as human beings.
I mean, on one hand, it's like, oh, does that heighten the pressure these kids are facing if we start to treat them like, professional athletes? At the same time, as you described, it's so intertwined in their world, the mental game and the physical game, and it's all one. So that does make sense to me. You offer a special course, Lorrine, as well as one-on-one coaching. Where can people find more information on your services?
So you can find me at my website, LorrineHeadrick.com, and I'm on Instagram at Lorrine.Headrick. And Facebook, The Athlete Mindset.
Well, you do good work. Thanks for keeping those kids, helping them keep their chins up and giving us as parents things we can do to support that effort as well. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.